Good evening, everyone. I am your general manager, the Big Lendowski, and I just finished Monday Night Raw. Originally, I said in my first video I wasn't going to do Monday Night Raw on Tuesday Night SmackDown or Wednesday Night NXT, but this Raw, I just felt like I had to. First of all, I just want to break kayfabe a little bit. I'm getting rid of the howdy y'all from my intros. I realize no matter how many times I say it, it will never ever sound natural, so there's that. Cutting right to it, this Raw was fantastic. Actually, let's backtrack a little bit. After doing some research and finding out official statements from WWE, that match between Darren Young and The Miz for the IC title at Battleground ended in a no contest, so there was really no winner, no loser. So instead of the Executioner gaining 5 points and the Jewel losing 5 points, they both basically just... they get those points back and Raw gets those points taken away. So unfortunately, sorry Executioner, but so leaving the Battleground pay-per-view, the Executioner has 15 points and the Jewel, instead of a -2, has 3 points. So at least you're not in the negatives like a certain Fellowship of the Brass Ring World Heavyweight Champion. But let's just cut right to Monday Night Raw, because I gotta say, this was probably one of the most impressive Raws I've seen in a long time. It had some downers, for sure. But I'm just going to cut right to the point. The first match of the night, it was announced that there'd be 2 Fatal 4-Ways. The winner of each Fatal 4-Way would face each other to face Seth Rollins at SummerSlam for the new, what we thought was going to be the World Heavyweight Championship. Is actually called the Universal Championship, as I'm sure you guys have seen, because you're probably not watching this video if you haven't seen Raw. This first match was Cesaro, Rusev, Kevin Owens, and Finn Balor, which means this was the Jewel versus Josh Rollins versus Colton Cabana versus the Big Lendowski, your general manager. Great match. Coming out on top, your general manager, the Big Lendowski, with Finn Balor. Man, what a debut. This guy got a huge ovation, and I am so happy that him and Dean Ambrose were my first 2 draft picks. I can't think of a better pair for me to pick. Next match was not, I wouldn't even call it a jobber match, it was a squash match. It was an undrafted person, Britt Baker, who I've never heard of before, versus Nia Jax, which means basically this was the Executioner versus no one. Since he has Nia Jax won. Executioner gets solid 10 points, so easy 10 points. And I'll kind of touch back on the squash matches from tonight when I get to the next one. The next match, third match of the night, was the second Fatal 4-Way to find out who would be the #1 contender for the United States Championship at SummerSlam. This was Chris Jericho versus Sheamus versus Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns. Backtracking a minute, I just realized I didn't... so starting off that first match, Colton Cabana, Josh Rollins, and the Jewel all started the night with -5 points. I'll touch on how many points they ended up with after tonight and where that leaves everyone in the whole group fantasy league. So coming back to where I was, Chris Jericho versus Sheamus versus Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns, meaning for our thread this was the Executioner versus the Big Lendowski versus the Jewel versus Colton Cabana. Good match, kind of, overall. Roman Reigns won, which I don't know why. I mean, I like Roman Reigns and everything. I don't hate him the way other people do, but surely Sami Zayn or Cesaro could have really... I mean, not Cesaro, just Sami Zayn could have used that win. That could have catapulted him, especially after his match with Kevin Owens last night. So with Roman Reigns winning, this is Colton Cabana, for the first time ever, a positive win. He actually got points, which is finally some champion, but meaning the Executioner, the Jewel, and the Big Lendowski all losing 5 points. It happens. The Nihilists survive. The very next match was a jobber match between Curtis Axel, which would be the Jewel, and Neville, which would be Colton Cabana. Neville's finally returned after his injury, looked great. Man, that dude is impressive. He won, giving Colton Cabana another 10 points. It's rapid fire. Colton Cabana with points here. And unfortunately, the Jewel losing another 5 points. That makes -15 for Raw so far. Rapid fire for her losing points. The next match, this might be match of the night. I almost jumped out of my chair. This was the Sasha Banks versus Charlotte for the Women's Championship title. So this would put Heart Puncher Ox Saunders in her first match of the evening with Sasha Banks versus your general manager, the Big Lendowski, with Charlotte. Sasha Banks won, made Charlotte tap out clean. There's a little bit of chicanery with Dana Brooke, but she was kicked out, and overall, I think the way they did that was really well. And I'm not even mad that I lost another 5 points here. And that Heart Puncher Ox Saunders, because it was a title match and she won, she gets a nice solid 20 points. So good job there. The next match, and this is the match that kind of bothered me, it was my guy Braun Strowman versus this guy named James Ellsworth. No idea who he is. Another one of those squash matches. And you know, with WWE and their old Be a Star campaign and anti-bullying, for them the announcers to sit there and make fun of this guy and say he looks like Tweety Bird and just the kind of crap they were saying really bothered me, to the point where I almost didn't even want the points from Braun Strowman. I'm gonna take them because I'm gonna win, and I'm not an idiot. So with Braun Strowman going over James Ellsworth, that gives me 10 points. The next match was Enzo Amore and Big Cass versus the Shining Stars. I think that this might be the first time we've seen them in the ring since their debut. I'm not sure. I can't remember the other time I saw them. But this puts Heart Puncher Ox Saunders with Enzo and Cass versus the Mexicutioner with Shining Stars. This is a regular tag match, so each person's worth 5 points for a win and minus 2 points for a loss. Enzo and Cass won. This puts Heart Puncher Ox Saunders with another 10 points, having a great night. So far, that's 30 for her. And the Mexicutioner with a negative 4 points. Overall, wasn't a great match, but Enzo and Cass just are amazing. The final match of the night, holy crap, was amazing. Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns, and I thought for sure WWE was going to shit the bed on this and have Roman Reigns win, but he did not. So in the Fantasy League with Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns, this put the Big Lendowski versus Colton Cabana. And like I've said many times in my last couple videos, Colton Cabana, you're going down. I'm taking that belt. This gives me another positive 10 points, and Colton Cabana another negative 5. So coming out of Monday Night Raw, Nathanity got 0 points. I was looking at the spreadsheet that I made, and he actually has one wrestler on the whole Raw roster, and it's the Big Show. So good drafting there, Nathanity. Mexicutioner, even though he was in 3 matches, he only got 1 point for the night. He got that one win of 10 points and minus 5 and minus 4 for the tag team. Colton Cabana in his first ever landing positive. It's only our second night, but still, it's good to see the champion actually doing something for once with a positive 10 points. Josh Rollins only had 1 match for the night, and that was that first Fatal 4-Way with his boy Kevin Owens. Obviously, Kevin Owens lost, so that, I'm sorry, not Kevin Owens, Rusev, I apologize, with Rusev, and that gives him a negative 5 points. The Jewel, I'm sorry, you had a hard match. I'd almost rather be in Nathanity's shoes with just not having anybody versus what you've got. You ended up with a negative 15 points for the night. So hopefully between tomorrow and NXT and the weeks coming up, you can do a little something and come back from that. Heart Puncher Ox Saunders winning the night with a positive 30 points. Very, very impressive. She was only in 2 matches, and she won both of them, one of them being a title match, so she got double points for that. 30 points, very, very awesome. And the Big Lendowski, your general manager, leader of the Nihilists, and future Fellowship of the Brass Ring World Heavyweight Champion with a positive 20 points. Again, said it before, I have the best team. I'm going to win, and I'm taking that belt off of Colton Cabana. Now, going for the overall points for where we're at in the Fantasy League, including Battleground and Monday Night Raw tonight, this puts in first place your general manager, the Big Lendowski, with a whopping 48 points. Man, I am good, and I'm going to continue to be good. In second place now, with an impressive Monday Night Raw, it's amazing how one night can change the aspect of things. Heart Puncher Ox Saunders with 36 points. Only in second place by 12 points. That's one match to bring it really close, so we'll see where that goes. Third place with 16 points is the Mexicutioner. Fourth place with 10 points is Josh Rollins. Fifth place with 5 points is Nathanity. literally, he's not even in last place, and he's participated in one match the whole 2 nights. So I guess when you pick part-time wrestlers who never lose, you can't come in last place. 6th place, finally not in last, even though he's the Fellowship of the Brass Ring World Heavyweight Champion, is Colton Cabana with -6 points. Still not even positive points. Come on, champ. What are you doing? And then, unfortunately, with a -12 points, last place is the Jewel. Like I said, I wasn't going to do this for every Raw, and I won't do it for every Raw unless I just start enjoying this. But this Raw in particular was fantastic with the new feel, the announce table moving around. Didn't have to hear JBL, so we'll see where SmackDown goes tomorrow with JBL. Corey Graves crushed it. He was awesome. It was overall a great Raw. Overall, I still continue to be excited for these wrestling shows to see where the points are going to go. Other than that, I've got nothing else to say. I am your strict but fair general manager, the Big Lendowski, leader of the Nihilists, and future Fellowship of the Brass Ring World Heavyweight Champion. I bid you adieu.